O Lord my God, when I in awesome wonder consider all the world your hands have made. Welcome to the pod, guys. We're back in business. Always a good Sunday when I got the mic in front of me. Got this audio wave file flowing right in front of my eyes, camera in front of my face, making me all nervous. Just kidding. This is where I thrive. Chatting with you guys about what the heck matters. So today, we got a Q&A. But before I get into the Q&A, crazy story. So I go to bed last night, and I'm kind of dreaming but not dreaming. Kind of wake up around midnight realizing that I had spent the last 3 hours scratching the freaking whole surface of my entire body like I had ants crawling over me. And I just had the craziest allergic reaction, rash, garbage happening. I mean, the top of my head, my face, my shoulders, my chest, stomach, everything was the most itchy I've ever been in my entire life. It was crazy. And I woke up and went and looked in the mirror, and it was just a bunch of weird rash, raised kind of bumps all over my skin. Literally have no idea what it was. My eyelids were all swollen. I looked like a wreck. Maybe still do a little bit. But hey, we're alive. I'm not that itchy anymore, but kind of wish I knew where the hell it came from. Anyways, now that fun story is out of the way, I want to jump into all of the amazing questions that you guys left on the Instagram story that I posted up asking for some banger questions. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. And if you see me looking down here, it's because I'm looking at my phone playing Flappy Bird. Just kidding. Just looking at all the questions. So let's see here. Okay. First question. What's something you are growing in right now? So I kind of understand this as what is something that I'm working towards, what's something I'm developing in myself. And I would say something that I'm really passionate about right now, conceptually, is the idea of square one. Because I think in a lot of different ways, I've reached really cool achievements in my life that I've been super stoked about. And I think it's almost a knee-jerk reaction to then place myself at a new square one, a new ground zero for something new to get good at. So I've talked about this a bunch of times, but with the whole social media side of things, right? I built a huge audience on Instagram, but for some reason there was just this conflict every time that I would try to post something where I found that I would take my thoughts and then I'm trying to wring them out and turn them into this short little statement of something, and then I'm bastardizing the idea. And so then I've restarted in this journey of long-form content, YouTube and podcasts, and it's been so much fun. And I think people are afraid to restart or to be a beginner. But when you get good enough at that process of kind of erasing and dissolving the ego a little bit, starting back at square one, you then realize the abundance for potential in front of you, and that is so exciting for me. So I love this podcast. This is so fun for me because, I can just talk through what I'm thinking of. I don't have to squeeze it into some 20-second bullshit that no one cares about. I can actually talk about ideas. And then the quality of person listening to the content that I'm creating is a lot more engaged, a lot more involved, and I can connect with you guys so much better. So this concept of square one, starting over, this is something that I'm very much growing in. It's something that I'm very much passionate about right now because I think it's such a healthy way to continue progressing and not have kind of the post-gold medal syndrome whenever you hit an achievement and feel empty. Rather, you hit an achievement and recognize that it's a brand new floor. So super excited about that. Next question, kind of a two-parter. It says, number one, your faith, and then number two, the suppression of emotions with hookup, drugs, alcohol, phone. Speaking on faith, I've mentioned it before, but this is such a deep topic. I have way too many things to say about it, honestly, to fit in this podcast episode. I really thrive in conversations with people because I love to hear what other people think, and that kind of fuels a ton of ideas and a ton of questions for me, especially in the category of faith. So there are plenty of things that I can just kind of yap about forever. In that category, I would say what typically comes to mind is this idea of authority. So whether God is somebody's authority, whether the self is somebody's authority, most people don't listen to that authority regardless, which to me blows my mind, right? I'm not necessarily religious, but to think that if I knew that God was real, right? Which I don't think anybody can know, or else faith wouldn't really be a concept. But if you knew God was real, and you knew that your ticket to heaven was a certain dedication of your life to Christ, for example, or a certain way of upholding your values and morals and character as an individual, I feel like it would be immensely easy to carry that out. If I truly had respect for the authority that's stating the character that I'm to uphold, upholding that character would be the easiest thing possible. And that is kind of the relationship I have with myself. For anybody that is religious, I don't want to be disrespectful by any means in comparing my relationship with my highest self to someone's relationship with God, but I very much see it in the same way. And that if I see this hypothetical best version of myself and I know the standards that version of me upholds, it's not that difficult to uphold those things because of one thing, the fact that I'm a disciplined person in a practical sense. So I've spent most of my life making promises, keeping promises, showing up to do the hard things. This is what I think is the difficult part. Building that kind of character within yourself where you wake up every morning when you don't want to. You go on the run when you don't want to. You do the workout when you don't want to. You're prepping your meals when you don't want to. You're giving up temptation and all that kind of stuff, right? That is the hard skill set to build. But then when you build that, I mean, it's easy to be a good Christian or a good member of any religion, because in a practical sense, it's based on doing those things. Then the gap to bridge is the faith aspect. In my view, it doesn't genuinely sit as oh, yes, this is 100% what I believe. Now, if God is real and Christianity is true, I wouldn't be the least bit offended. I mean, I think that that's great, and the way that I uphold my life, I don't think would be a direct ticket to hell. And I think if God is true, if God is merciful and powerful, then perhaps he would have a little bit of room of understanding for my lack of pure certainty in his realness, given the fact that he created me. So, kind of a little rant there, but hopefully that kind of answers the question. And then part 2, the suppression of emotions with hookup, drugs, alcohol, phone. Here's the thing. Everybody knows kind of the right thing, I would say, for the most part. The right thing, the confidence to continue going in the direction that you want to go, the emotion behind this, you're only really one step ahead of temptation in most cases. So I think a lot of people think that for somebody like myself, I can look at people in college, for example, a few years ago when I was living near one, not going to college, but seeing everybody indulging in all the fun times and doing all of the activities and having all the people around them. They would think that for me, I'm going, oh, what a bunch of idiots. Can't believe it. Can't believe they're falling for this trick, right? And I'm just so far ahead of that and not affected by that emotionally at all. No, everybody that's trying to stick to the right path feels the pain of not having people they relate to. And it is a massive, massive sacrifice. Right? So there's fun in all of the quote unquote bad things, but to resist that, I would say it's just an understanding of what you want that is one notch ahead of the temptation that you want to fall into, if that makes sense. So yeah, it requires a strong view of the higher self. And I think unfortunately, people's view of that gets very clouded very quickly, whether that's due to their environment, the people around them, the things they hear growing up, virtue signaling to boring ass people as a 10-year-old saying that, oh, I want to have some boring ass job because you think it's respectable and cool to just have really low expectations. And so younger and younger people are having stupider and stupider dreams because they want old people to think that they're cool, but the old people gave up on what they really wanted and are kind of miserable. So, I could go on about this all day, but I won't. Next question. Still training BJJ. Yes, I go to jiu-jitsu twice a week right now. I don't love it. I'm bad at it. But one day I will be a weapon, and that'll be really cool because there's confidence in the ability to articulate your ideas, build connections, achieve things in business or physical achievements. But speaking on the physical achievements, physical confidence is a very different thing. So, I have a lot of confidence in my ability to create good relationships, communicate the kind of person I am to other people. But if it came down to it, I know that there's a lot of people that could whoop my ass. And I don't know, that feels kind of problematic to me because when you're in that state, you're just kind of banking on the nice little bubble of society that, oh, if there's a bad person, the person's going to have a gun down the street and shoot them, and it's going to be this movie moment, or the cops are going to come get them before what. Shoot, maybe not. And I would like to exist in most physical places and just have the understanding that, hey, if it came down to it, I'm the guy that can take control of this situation. So jiu-jitsu is kind of an incredible martial art. It's grappling. So I plan to spend a long time being reasonably consistent. Twice a week is not incredible, but I'd rather do twice a week for 10 years than 5 times a week for 3 months and then really hate it and quit. So I'm going to be mad consistent there. Eventually throw in some striking. I used to do Muay Thai. I think it's just way more fun. So that's why I'm kind of doing jiu-jitsu now, to really get immersed into that. And yeah, that's kind of my thought process on that. I want to have that physical confidence so bad. And it's one of those pursuits where you start at the bottom of another freaking mountain and you're looking at the top going, wow, there's somebody that goes to a gym 3 minutes from my house that has been training this thing for 10, 15 years. And if it was my life versus his, I would simply die. The coach of the class that I go to, if I was to fight this guy, I would literally die. That kind of sucks. So, gonna keep working on that. Next question. Why do you do the cold plunge before the run instead of after? Well, hey, I gotta say, I appreciate the fact that you already know and pointed out the fact that I do the cold plunge before the run instead of after, because if I don't get questions every single day saying, do you do the cold plunge before or after? Meanwhile, on my story, I put the timestamp of it every single day. The ice bath is always 5:20 something. The run is always 5:40 something. I don't want to be an ass, but come on. Let's put 2 and 2 together here by looking at some time stamps. But why do I do the cold plunge before the run? So to make it harder. That's kind of my actual answer. It's funny, when I first got an ice bath, I was trying to figure out a way to keep it as clean as possible, and I thought, man, if I'm getting in the darn thing after I run every day, it's just going to get disgusting super quick. My first cold plunge I had was it was a chest freezer that I kind of DIY'd into an ice bath. The thing was freaking sweet, by the way. But yeah, I wanted to keep the water clean, so I figured if I was running beforehand and then getting in, that would be a mess. So I thought, okay, I'll do it first thing in the morning, get the most difficult thing out of the way. And yeah, it's just harder to do. Right when you wake up, your body temperature is super low. So you always see people running first or doing some sort of exercise first and then getting in the ice bath, and they treat it like it's easy. And I'm going, yeah, of course it's easy. It's because you're hot. And then at least for the first 2 or 3 seconds, it's a nice little relief. When I get in that sucker, I promise you, I do not want to be in there. Also, one thing to note, there's this statistic that goes around saying ice baths decrease your muscle growth by 66%. If you follow me on Instagram, you see that I sarcastically allude to that pretty often. Some people don't understand the sarcasm there, but hey, that's the point of communicating yourself over a long period of time. People are going to catch on, but it's doing that after a lifting session. That would kind of be where the statistic is coming from. So I would never lift and then go ice bath, because lifting, you're essentially creating inflammation in your muscles for it to then heal and rebuild and become bigger, stronger, whatever. And if you're taking an ice bath, it's essentially doing the complete opposite. I believe it would be that your blood vessels are dilating, or no, constricting. Is that the same thing? Who knows? I'm no scientist. But it's essentially doing the opposite of inflaming your muscles, and so it'd kind of be counteractive. God, I'm really struggling with words today, guys. Jeez. Yeah, it'd kind of be doing the opposite that the lifting is actually doing, so not too smart. I do it in the first thing in the morning. It's horrible, but I'm not doing it to decrease inflammation or for any of the health reasons, really. I mean, I think it's good. You kind of get used to getting in cold water, so there's a resilience built there. But for me, it's more of an anchor of, hey, thousands of years ago, humans had it pretty freaking rough. There was a real sense of physical survival that they had to overcome. And so, I just insert 3 minutes of being a real human being into the beginning of every single day. And I believe that keeps me grounded. It keeps me present. When you're in a body of ice cold water, you're not thinking about much but the water that you're sitting in. And so it keeps you very present. It's also interesting visually when I'm in there. I mean, it's usually beautiful out and I can see the sky. I find that I have a hard time keeping my vision outside of the ice bath itself. So I'll try and look up and look around at the trees, and it just makes me uncomfortable. And so my vision always just comes back to looking down at my legs, basically, or looking down at the water. Really interesting thing that I've noticed, but I'm not really sure of my conclusion there. Okay, next question. Can you talk about relationships / breakups? Oh, again, this is another religion version of topic where I have so much to say about it. It's much easier to speak on it in conversation rather than a monologue podcast. But I think what stands out to me most in our culture today, there's a very big push for independence, never relying on anybody, just hyper independence. And that's a coping mechanism. I can see that clear as day, because people want to be immune to getting hurt. And so they'll spend all of this time and energy skillfully becoming the kind of person that never needs to rely on anybody. And I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to travel the world by myself. I don't need no man. I don't need no woman. Whatever it is. It's just a low IQ coping mechanism for not wanting to get hurt, because people get in relationships. The other person breaks their trust or something happens and they think, man, I never want to have this happen again, because a breakup and heartbreak, all that great stuff, is horrible. It's really horrible. It makes you feel like you've been betrayed. It makes you feel like you did the wrong thing, that you're not good enough, whatever it might be. And so who doesn't want to become immune to that? You get out of a relationship and you go, I will never let that happen again. And then you start doing this whole hyper-independence bullshit, and then you become stupid. You become incapable of existing in a great relationship. So by being immune to all of the pains, you're also becoming immune to everything that you would ever want in a great partner and a great connection. So yeah, I have a lot of different thoughts on that, but this hyper-independence thing that's being marketed, especially to young people, it is a coping mechanism. It's not smart. It'll close you out from what you're really looking for. Please don't fall into it. It's kind of my thoughts there. Yo, give me your favorite meal prep meals. Brother, I eat beef and rice every single day for lunch and dinner, and I eat eggs and rice for breakfast, a ton of fruit, milk, honey and cacao. That's literally it. I mean, I just eat a bunch of different fruits, beef and rice, eggs. There's the meal prep. I swear to you, I never really change it up. I've gone to a restaurant maybe twice in the last year since moving to Austin. I just like it better that way. I like to have my own meals made. I don't have to think about it. A lot of people really value variety and trying new foods and all that great stuff. I think that's fine. I also think that it creates a lot more guesswork. So people that love variety, but they also have a bunch of health problems and shit that they constantly complain about, I go, well, how about you eat way less things so you have less to guess from and say, gosh, what's causing my headaches? Is it this 1,000 ingredients list, or is it something from this food, or does my body not respond well to this? You can never really know. So I like to simplify, and people think that I'm in some jail of never being able to branch out and try new things. Look, I can do whatever the hell I want, and what I want to do is what I do, because I have way better things to apply my mental energy to instead of wondering what I'm going to eat for dinner tonight. It's 9:58 a.m. right now. A little behind on the old morning routine, to be honest, with the Sunday podcast. But hey, we're doing okay. But look, it's 9:58. My lunch and dinner are already made. So when it's time to eat, I'm just going to eat. I'm not going to be cooking. I'm not going to be ordering some shit. I'm not going to be doing all this thinking because, again, I have way better things to be thinking about, like all of these great questions that you guys have posed to me. So thanks for that. Next question. This one's a little bit funny, given what I've already talked about. What are your top 3 values as a Christian man who practices daily discipline? Well, not a Christian man. So I'll say my top 3 values. Let's see. Honesty. If you're not honest with yourself, you're not honest with anybody else. If you don't know the foundation of who you are and what you're working with, you'll never be able to change. You'll never be able to make real tangible progress in your life because you're going to be working from a lie, and that's shitty. Self-awareness. Oh my gosh. I want to say last episode or 2 episodes ago was all about observation, self-awareness, how you view yourself, how you view other people, how you watch, how you listen, being very intentional about those things. That's something I am super passionate about. And analyzing my own self-awareness has been something I've done for my whole life. And I think it served me well in understanding who I am, how I am, and productively interacting with my environment. So honesty, self-awareness, and flexibility. I'm very big on this idea that a lot of people who are very serious carry their personality only in that same direction. People who are very fun, outgoing, crazy, they also carry their lifestyle in that direction. I have way much more. I have way more respect for the kind of people that treat themselves very well. They're very healthy people. They're incredibly intentional about the way that they live. And then their personality is something that is enjoyable. It's abstract. There's flexibility to it. They can be serious when they need to. They can be funny when they need to. They can interact with all different kinds of people and relate to all different kinds of people. I think that is a very, very admirable characteristic. So the flexibility in personality while maintaining a strong and intentional lifestyle, huge deal to me. So honesty, self-awareness, flexibility. Those would be my 3. Why do you do ice baths before your run? Oh, I guess I saved the same question twice. What are the benefits behind it? Being way cooler than the people who do it after the run. Let's be honest. I'm just kidding. This one was cool. Showed my 8-year-old your videos. What would you say to young kids that look up to you? I actually had someone reach out to me semi-recently. I honestly can't remember the details of it, but it was something very similar. Hey, my young kid is in school and feels really compelled to be like all of his friends, but all of his friends are doing XYZ bullshit. What would you say to him? And I almost want to find this and read out the message because I thought it was a really helpful way to see it. And I'm always interested with this idea of kids that are much younger because you think that they can't really understand. But I remember being 8. I remember being 10, 12, 14, and I'm going, dude, I understood all of this stuff. I think people just didn't really grant me the understanding, except for a select few people, which I'm incredibly grateful for. But I think the best thing we can do for young people is to grant them the understanding, or kind of imply that they can understand, because that's what creates the kind of people that actually do. I want to see if this is going to show up in my messages here, because that would be, oh, is this it? Yes. Okay. So I know the actual question I'm talking about here was an 8-year-old. This question here is actually about a 16-year-old, but it still kind of applies in a similar idea. So, hey crew, any advice for my 16-year-old son who's in the fight right now to not drink like all of his buddies? I know it's so hard for him. I kept it pretty short, but I said I would ask him if he truly admires them. Because at 16, you have a free pass to emulate any person in the entire world and mimic their success. So why choose other 16-year-olds that make stupid decisions and will end up being exactly like everybody else? So with that, for an 8-year-old, I would say similar things. You can emulate any person in this entire world. You have YouTube. You have an influx of information from any source that you possibly could look up to. And if you mimic the behaviors of people that you admire, you mimic the lifestyle and the thought process of people you admire, you are 1,000,000 times more likely to get the same outcomes as those people than the folks who don't pay attention. So pay attention, be very in tune, constantly question the world around you. Do not ever get tired of asking why. That would be my advice to your 8-year-old and you and anybody that's listening to this. Never get tired of asking why. All right. How to quiet the thoughts that arise as you lay your head down for bed. So I don't have any tips or tricks that I'm going to explain right now, but I want to use this as an opportunity to say that when you spend each day not leaving something on the table, you're giving your best. You know, the cliche, oh, do the best you can, 1% better every day, which after 100 days, you're 2 times better than you were. It's a little unrealistic, but all of the efforts to be the best that you absolutely can. When that's the case and you're being honest about it and you're not lying, there aren't that many thoughts to quiet when you lay your head down on the pillow. That is the internal peace that you get from doing the hard things, making the right decisions. You know, going back to earlier, there's all the temptation and all of these things that you don't want to fall into, but everyone's doing it. Well, do you want to have a loud pillow to lay on, or do you want to have a comfortable, quiet one to lay down on? That's the question. Because, you know, your moral compass inside of you, it keeps count. Easy question here. How tall is crew? 100 feet tall. Let's go. I'm just kidding. I'm 5'10". Pretty chill height. Maybe even 5'10 and a half. Who knows? Maybe I'm growing. Next question. How do you deal with awkwardness around your diet with groups or family? This is such a freaking awesome question. And it brings me to a very important point, that if you are going to be intentional about a way of life, if you're going to be intentional about any kinds of decisions that contrast most people around you, you have to be able to explain why. You have to. Because you're going to receive questions. If you're living a questionable in most people's eyes kind of life, you're going to receive questions. And I really want to strongly encourage you to be able to answer those questions very well. Because when you can speak up for what you believe, when you can speak up for the reason behind your actions, it's really hard to disrespect that. So for years, I was the annoying person because I was so picky about the way that I wanted to eat. But did I really have the perfect toolkit to be able to explain why I'm doing that to people that are already seeking to misunderstand almost? No. So beefing up the old communication skill set, especially around those things, That is the absolute best thing that you can do. So how do you deal with awkwardness around your diet with groups or family? Well, if you're going to be high maintenance, then you better maintain highly. So I never burden other people with my standards or expectations. If I'm going to go somewhere and people are cooking something else, well, I better bring my own food. I better eat before I go. I'm not going to place that burden on other people. That, I'd be full of shit if I did that. But yeah, I mean, conceptually, knowing how to explain your way around the questions and the awkwardness, and then practically speaking, take care of your own shit. That's how it goes. Next question. Why do people don't take action? Okay. Why do people not take action when they know it could change their whole life? If someone's truly not taking action, I think that they maybe don't know that it would change their whole life. They maybe don't have a full belief or confidence or faith in that, because they think the people that made the change and that changed their life are something different from them. So people have this tendency to idolize. If somebody did some massive change in their life, somebody made some huge progress or achievement, they think, wow, that must be a different thing for me, because I don't see that happening for me. And nobody thinks that they could be the one to win, right? I was actually talking to some friends of mine yesterday about another friend of ours who basically applied for some competition in some tech thing. I don't even know. And won. And Google put it on. And you think, Google has this huge reach. It could be literally anyone in the world. And he won the thing. And it really made me think, wow, someone literally does win every competition. Some one person submits their work to something and they get chosen. What the hell is to say that couldn't be you in any case? What's to say that you couldn't start working out and changing your life and have a great, I don't even know, some evolution of the way that you live and the person that you are, and then something amazing happened from that? Why could that not be you? And most people sit there and subject themselves to the outcomes of people who don't do anything. And I'm going, no, if you're acting like a successful person, you're probably going to get the successful person outcomes. It's really not that much of a lottery. People think that they're in the Hunger Games or some shit. And I'm going, no, you're actually in a pretty strong driver's seat position of your life if you give yourself the chance to just do the inputs and see what happens as a result of that after a long enough period of time with the outcomes. So why do people not take action when they know it could change their whole life? I think the people that know it's going to change their whole life actually do take action. So find more evidence, get more excited, you know what I mean? For those people that don't take the action, there's got to be a strong enough reason behind it, period. All right, next question. The mornings you wake up extremely tired / unmotivated. How do you get up? You know exactly how. You know exactly how I get up. That's the thing, right? I grab the sheet that is over me. I move it to the side. I slide my legs out from under, and then I stand up. Every person listening to this podcast right now knows how I do that. But for you, you have to figure out why. Because when I wake up in the morning, I mean, I guess I have an option to stay laying down and not get up. I mean, personally, I've dissolved that option. But I suppose I could just stay in bed. But when I wake up and I come to consciousness, there's almost 0 seconds of turnaround time from me being asleep to me recognizing what matters to me. Oh, getting up right now when I don't want to, that's a pure reflection of the kind of person I want to be, the character that I want to uphold. All the responsibilities I have in front of me, Those are the anchors of my character. Those are the anchors of my morals and the things that I value in this life. So to dismiss that would be acting in pure opposition to my purpose. The only thing is, when you don't have a strong enough, purpose behind what you're trying to accomplish, and the practical behaviors that you attach that purpose to, that's when you get stuck in bed. So you know how. Tired, unmotivated, sick, whatever, stand up out of your bed. Easy money. Literally stand up. And you can, and you know you can. And at 5 a.m. when you don't want to get up, you still know you can. But if there's not a clear enough view of what the hell matters to you, you're going to be glued to the bed. Simple as that. Next question. How old are you, brother? 24. How tall is crew? Did I save these twice or something? I'm 5'10". 5'10" and perhaps a half. And with that, folks, that's going to be the end of this podcast episode. I have a few ending notes that I want to make sure I hit here before I jump off. It's been 36 minutes. Has it felt like a long time or a short time? Either way, hopefully it's been a good time. This has been fun for me. I love answering the questions. It honestly makes it so much easier for me, because when I just think of a topic I want to talk on, I can go so far down the rabbit hole, but when I have some questions to keep me in line, it's honestly pretty nice. So yeah, these Q&As are really fun. So to end off the podcast, if you are watching the pod on YouTube, make sure to click the subscribe button so you don't miss my episode next week. Like the video, and please leave a comment. I adore hearing from you guys, and I'm not just saying that. I love to read the comments, especially with this kind of content. I get to actually hear what you guys are thinking, and you care to put detail and value into your responses, and that I appreciate like crazy. So leave a comment. If you're listening on Spotify, you can leave 5 stars on my episode. No, not the episode, the channel, whatever it is. And you can also comment on there. So I want to hear from you guys as well on Spotify. Newsletter. You should definitely subscribe to that sucker, because it's free. I send out 2 newsletters every week. I will sit in front of my computer and go, what do I want to talk about right now? And then I'll just write some absolute heat. And I send it right to your inbox, and you can screenshot it. You can put it on your Instagram. You can make it your screensaver. You could send it to your family, your friends. It's great. And you don't even have to hear me yap in those moments. So what a blessing, right? The voiceless reasoning of me. So if that's something you're interested in, link will be in the show notes or description of the episode, so you can subscribe to the newsletter there. And last, and perhaps most, 3 words for you. No phone dinner. If you're watching, listening, using my communication to burst sound into your ears in any capacity, when you eat dinner tonight, you can't use your phone. Simple. No phone dinner. Sit down at the table. Eat dinner. No distractions. Be with your family or your friends or yourself. Those 3 are all incredible options. And take in the present moment. Take some deep breaths. Slow down time. Count to 100 if you want to. No phone dinner. It'll change your life if you do it enough. I promise you. So, watching or listening, don't use your phone when you eat dinner tonight. And if you happen to be eating dinner right now, you're in huge trouble. I'm just kidding. But tomorrow, when you eat dinner, just don't use your phone. That's all I got for you guys. This was fun. Always look forward to the Q&As. I think that's it. I hope you have an incredible rest of your day. I'll see you on the next episode. Peace out. Don't you come here thinking you're ballin', ain't out for it. You seem like trouble to me.